Hello and welcome back. Up until now, we've been putting our styling information into a CSS file, and certainly traditionally that's the way it's been done. But recently, over the last few years, there's been a huge change towards using Tailwind, where you put your styling information directly into the HTML file. So we're going to be doing that going forward. And I thought it would be a good idea, rather than just adding Tailwind to our existing project, which has already got quite a lot of stuff in it. I thought we'd just create a very small project where we could focus purely on what's going on with the Tailwind. So let's create a folder, Tailwind Demo, and open that in VS Code. Create an index.html file. We can use Emmet to populate that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a couple of boxes, and I'm going to style one the way we've been doing it up to now, and then I'm going to style the other one. It's going to look identical, but we'll style it using Tailwind instead. So here we are. I've created a div class equals custom box. Now I've already created some, already got some the sideline CSS here for that box. I'll put it in index.css. Just paste it in. Now the values I've put in this style, you can stop and look at them if you like. They're all that we've been working with before, although I've picked some fairly common values. Now all I have to do in order to use this CSS is to add a link into their header section of the HTML page. And again, I've got to just copy and paste that in. And I'll open that in live preview, and we can see it's drawn a nice blue box. So now let's go and do the same thing with a Tailwind. So Tailwind uses what are called utility classes. So instead of having just one class in here, custom box, we're going to create a second div, and instead it's going to have lots of classes. Now these are known as Tailwind utility classes, and each of these has a predefined meaning. So if we go to the Tailwind documentation, we can look up what each of them means. I've set my browser to go to Tailwind, and this is their main page. If we go to the doc section over here, we can find all of these different Tailwind utility classes. There's tons of documentation, but we can see down here they're all sort of listed, explaining how to use them. If you find this website a little overwhelming, you can also Google a Tailwind cheat sheet, and you'll find there's no end of cheat sheets as well. But this might be looking like gobbledygook to you right now, but the reason it's become so popular is these are actually very easy to learn. So let's just go through them. We've got a width of, this is an arbitrary value of 200 pixels, so that equates to this width. M4 is a margin of, it's actually 16 pixels. You sort of multiply this by 4 to go to the pixels. P is padding, again 16 pixels. BG blue, a blue background, and this is sort of intensity, and that equates to this color over here. So there's sort of standard colors in Tailwind, but there's lots of them. Text white is color white. Font sans is font family sans serif. Rounded LG is the border radius of 8 pixels, and text center is text align center. So we're now going to install the Tailwind utility and run it. And what it's going to do is essentially it's going to create more CSS in a file that will do something like this. It'll create a docs text center class setting, and it'll put in it a copy of, let's just copy this down here. It'll put text align center like that. So obviously these have predefined meanings, and if I wanted padding of 17 pixels, I'd have to sort of use an arbitrary value like that. But for most of the styling settings we use, most of the time there are sort of standard names available, and you just type the name in, it'll generate what you want. So rather than me typing all those, now let's install the utility and use it. So the Tailwind utility programs are just JavaScript programs available in npm packages. So I'll just bring up a package.json file. And last time we used npm install to install Vite. Now this time I'll show you a different way. We can just copy the dev dependencies section we're interested in, like this, and then I'll bring up a terminal, type npm install, and it'll make sure that our node modules folder has got everything in here. So it's now created node modules. It's gone and got the packages from the internet, the npm library, and we can see here's Tailwind CSS, and this is the command line interface. This is the utility we're going to use to generate classes in a CSS file. And we can see that the Tailwind writers have themselves used lots of npm libraries which have been loaded recursively. So the last thing we need to do is actually run the utility. And to do that, we use an npm script block. So I've just copied one in here. This generate command, you can call it whatever you like. I've just invented generate. And again, we're going to output a CSS file. And again, I've just called it tw.css, but this is a completely arbitrary name. So let me just run this command, npm run generate. And we can see it's generated a tw.css file over here. And if I bring it to this window, look at the bottom, and we can see that we wanted text center, and over here is text center, and just as we predicted, it's generated text align center, which is just like text align center over here. And for each of these, it's generated, look, M4 rounded, BG blue. So not all of the Tailwind utility classes, of which there are literally thousands, it's just generated the ones that we've used. The only thing left for us to do is just to add another link to this tw.css file, and we're good to go. All we have to do is open this back up in preview, and we can see, ta-da, we've got two boxes now styled identically. So with that, I'll bring this lesson to a close, and in the next lesson we'll see how to use Tailwind and Vite together. So I'll see you there.